Ben Lee from Voce Madison Restaurant in New York City, and today we are going to make an alternative to the traditional gnocchi and do something a little bit easier, in my opinion, called a nudi. A nudi basically means naked in Italian, and this is a Florentine dish by tradition. And you may also hear it in the name of Gnudi ravioli, because the whole idea is supposed to be like a ravioli without the skin. So it is similar, it is like a dumpling, like the gnocchi, but in my opinion it's a lot easier, it'll be quick and fast, and it's a lot of fun. So let's make the gnudi. To get started, you're just looking at a minimum amount of ingredients. We have a cup and a half of goat cheese, a cup and a half of drained ricotta. I took ricotta and strained it overnight. I have about a cup of 00 flour, and I have one whole egg. It's an extra large egg you find at the grocery store, or again, you can use an egg from the farmer's market. And what I'm going to do here, because this recipe it's a smaller recipe, it's easier to work with, it actually just calls for half an egg. So I'm going to take an egg and just beat the egg up, and I'm literally going to use just half this. We're going to put all the ingredients, the wet ingredients, into your KitchenAid bowl, your ricotta, and your goat cheese. I have a little bit of kosher salt, just a pinch, a couple turns of fresh ground black pepper, and fresh nutmeg. And then I'm going to take, with a rubber spatula or a wooden spoon, I'm just going to break up the cheese with the eggs and mix it together. Just get them incorporated. The key to this dish, and just like gnocchi as well, is that you don't want to necessarily overwork the dough. It's not a dough that you want to develop glutens. So I'm going to just incorporate the egg and the cheese together, so that when we mix it in the KitchenAid, we won't take the risk of overworking the dough. We're going to use a paddle. We're going to dump our flour in here. And just take it to the very first notch, which is stir. I'm going to mix it just until the flour and the cheese and the egg and everything just comes together. If anything scrapes to the bowl, take your rubber spatula and just kind of scrape up the bottom. Once the flour is kind of worked in there, I'll just take it up to the next level. And that's it. Scrape off all the dough from the bowl. And we're going to just take a pastry bag and fill it up. If you don't have a pastry bag at home, you could also use a large Ziploc bag, like a freezer bag, a gallon's worth. You can fill that inside, and that works just as well. So you're going to just start working the dough down to the base of the bag. Give it a good turn. This is why I like using pastry bags, so you can kind of keep it clean. So after you put the dough inside your bag, you're going to cut a hole probably about, I guess, an inch. From here, we're going to make the gnudi. So I have here just, again, some more bench flour, 00 flour. If you don't want to use 00 flour, you don't have it. You can just use all-purpose flour as well. And you're going to get really messy. And this is where you're going to have to accept the fact that flour can be messy. And then you could really understand to have fun when making pasta dough. So I'm just going to do a little dollop right into my hand and let it drop again. Okay? And every single time we make the gnudi, make sure you get a good amount of flour here. Toss the gnudi. Make sure you coat every little dumpling, every morsel with flour. They're a little malformed, but that's kind of the beauty of this dish, because I like the rustic quality of it. If you like to make it a little bit more refined, you could gently roll it in between your hands, but I wouldn't recommend it. The whole idea of this dish, again, like gnocchi, is that it's a really tender, fluffy dish, and the gnudi are ready to go. So we're going to cook this off into salted boiling water. I add enough salt just so that the water tastes seasoned, but not necessarily like the sea. I don't like it when the pasta water is that aggressively salty. And we're gonna go cook the gnudi. So we have our salted boiling water. It's not at a crazy boil. If it is at an aggressive boil, I'll turn it down slightly, and you just want these bubbles that we have. And we're just gonna drop the gnudi straight in. And there's really no time. It takes, I think, about a minute to a minute and a half. The whole idea is as soon as it floats, you want to let it cook for an additional 10 seconds, and it's ready to come out. Here, because it's so delicate, we're just going to kind of stir the water on the surface so it can get some separation, but after that, then you just leave it alone. You don't touch it. I like to serve this with a little fresh tomato sauce, or even a meat ragu is really nice. But if you want something really light and you like to just taste the goat cheese in its purest form, I'll just take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and a little grated Parmesan cheese. Thanks for watching. These are my goat cheese nudi.